Boxing brought you one highly charged conversation earlier today. Now we move to a conversation with a heavy-hitting heavyweight. My name is Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out with British champion Fabio Wardley. Fabio, sir, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. That's a good intro. I like that.
Just thought I'd make it a little bit relevant there. We'll get to that later on, but let's get to more pressing matters for yourself. April 1st, Michael Polite Coffie is the opponent on the anti-Joshua undercard. Before we get to Coffie as the opponent, was a British title defense on the cards at all?
It was the plan. Yeah, yeah, it was the plan for the year. Yeah, the overall plan for the year was to defend the British title three times, but we're just really struggling to get someone to commit to wanting to fight me for it. Basically, there's a lot of people that said they would and said they wanted to and whatever else, and then when it comes kind of down to it, really, for them to kind of put up or shut up, there's a lot more excuses coming out than answers and definitive yes or no. So we kind of had to we kind of we stretched that for as long as we could, and we had to kind of just divert and take a different path to ensure that I'm staying busy and staying active.
Disappointing in a sense. Look, it's always great to be out, always great to be out on an age undercard, but you maybe wanted to defend that British title.
Yeah, of course, massively. Like it's a prestigious belt, and obviously a good fight against a good UK contender would have been fantastic. But if it's not on the cards and it's not to be done, and people want to faff around more than I'm willing to wait around for, then it just is what it is, unfortunately. But like I say, stay busy, stay on top of things, keep moving, and hopefully second time around we get a bit more luck.
There'll be a lot of British heavyweights looking to hear the answers to this question. So where do you stand on the British title right now? Is it still a title that you do want to defend this year, or you look to move forward?
No, it's still my title, it's still something I want to defend. Still something I'm planning to hold on to. I'm
Mhm.
not planning to let go of it anytime soon. So, like I say, if people want to have a go, then they're more than welcome.
Fair enough. So it's Michael Polite Coffee. Let's break this down for me. Why Coffee, and what do you see in Coffee that you feel that you'd be able to have the advantages and get the win over him on April 1st?
Coffee's a good opponent, relatively well ranked as well. Like I say, we're on a bit of a shorter notice than we'd have liked to have. But because we tried to extend trying to get a hold of that British, and we kind of, he was someone that we could get a hold of at if the worst case scenario went south and we weren't able to have that British fight. So hence why Coffee. But he's a good opponent. He's good. He's durable. He's been rounds with people like in at a further back point of his career. He was more of a prospect. He was kicking on to do some big things. He was on a good win streak, and he ran into his bogeyman of kind of Johnny Rice, and that kind of sent him a little left. But he's still got everything there that he had when he was going through the levels. All the skills are still there. He's still comparable. Like I say, can still take a good shot. So hopefully in this fight we'll get some rounds out of it.
Boxing is very much a fluid sport, and fighters look for that spotlight. You've got a big spotlight on that AJ undercard. Do you feel that you have to make a statement in beating Coffee very well, maybe stopping Coffee as such to keep your name in that spotlight as well too?
Yeah, ultimately, I just have to ensure I put on a good performance. Whether it ends in a KO, whether it ends in a clean, like decisive points win, then it is what it is. But as long as I'm staying busy, I'm happy with my performance. My team's happy with my performance. It's all well. I try not to feed into or subject myself to too much pressure in the sense of, oh, I need to do this and I have to do this to make it good, because it's not the case. I don't have to bang everyone out. I have some, but I don't have to do it. But it's just about me and my development as a fighter. I'm still, I say early on, I'm kind of midway through my career now, but I'm still learning. There's still bits for me to learn. Like a crucial thing for me is go more rounds and at a higher level. So that's definitely something we're aiming to do in this fight. So hopefully we can get that.
How do you balance that out? Wanting to go more rounds, but also if the KO's there, the KO's there, right?
Well, yeah, definitely. Like I say, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna wobble them and then step back and go, hang on, mate, you have 2 minutes and figure it out. Like if the job's there to get it done, the job's there to get it done. I think the hope is that you have an opponent in front of you that's durable enough, that poses enough questions, that's crafty enough to even get through the rounds and figure out, even if I do tag him well, he knows how to kind of defend, tuck up, reset, make it to the round, and then get back out and kind of stamp his foot on the fight. So that's what we're looking to find here. And like I say, hopefully Coffee's one of those guys.
Have you noticed, Fabio, that after you won the British title, there's been a slight shift in the questions asked about you in terms of, like, beforehand it was what level could Fabio Wardley get to, and now it's more how far can Fabio go, which is a slight little subtle change, but one that
Mm.
I think has changed because of your British title win. Have you noticed that by the boxing public opinion?
Yeah, I think so. It was all this white collar guy. Can he make it to British title level? Is he just British title level? Can he do more? Or I don't know. And now it's, oh well, he could fight so and so for an eliminator, and he could be next in line for a world title in a few fights against this person, and everything else. So, but like you say, it's the way kind of boxing is fluid like that. It's quick to the narratives around you as a fighter or your career or whatever are very quick to change. They can spin off a win or a loss. It's a quick move in sport like that.
I think you said to me last time I spoke to you, you really wanted to shake off that white collar tag. What's the next tag or what's the next goal to shake off?
I don't know. Maybe that I'm a slow starter. That's probably the next one I need to get rid of. And I guess that one's, don't get me wrong, in situations it's just. I have started slow in fights. I've always come through and figured it out. And it's not something I'm looking to maintain throughout my career. But that's the next one we need to get shift of, because this is a habit that I've moved out of since my last couple of fights. Like I've moved out of that. I started fast, and that's fine for me. But it still follows me a bit. So it's something I need to kind of make a staple on and make sure that's cleared up.
When you say that's a goal for yourself, is that your goal for yourself, your training team, Ben Davison? You've looked at that and said, we're going to work on this and improve yourself as a fighter.
Yeah, of course. As a collective, all decisions and style adjustments in me and the way I fight are done as a collective team between me, Ben, my coach Robert Hodgins, as well as a trio. As us, we look at me as a whole and go, okay, what needs to get better here? Where do we need to improve? What can we adjust on? What did I do well? And that is an area because, like I say, the obvious thing is as you step up the levels, I may not always be able to get away with it. So if we can stamp that out sooner rather than later, then that's not going to be a problem.
Now, you've had your target on your back for a while. I think ever since you donned the mustache against Simon Vallily and beat him, claimed the English title, that target's just grown even bigger. I saw most recently Solomon Dakers, he claimed the English title and then post-fight on Matchroom's Boxing's YouTube channel said confidently he'd beat you and said he was levels above you. You're right of a reply here, Fabio. I've seen you did that on Twitter already, but maybe in depth a bit more here.
Yeah, no, like what do you expect? I've got no problem with it with him or anyone else saying they think they can beat me. What do you expect a fighter to say? I hope a fighter would say that. If a fighter said, nah, you know what, I wouldn't do that. I think Fab would beat me. Like I wouldn't pay him no mind. There'd be no point in me fighting them. They're already lost. So I don't mind that at all. He's taking the English and he wants to move forward with his career. That's not a problem. The reason I got hold, part of the reason why I got hold of the British title was to put a target on my back, was so I could get hold of some of these better fights, these bigger profile fights of UK names, people better known that I can get stuck in with, and he's one of those people. So that's no problem for me. But I hope he believes in himself. But all of my other 15 opponents believed in themselves as well, and that didn't end too well for him. So we'll see how it goes.
Dakers on your radar, the classic thing that fighters would say, look, that's a bit behind me. I'm looking forward here, but is he on your radar? It seems he is.
Uh, not really. No, he's
Hmm.
not someone I. When we were in the build up to this, when we were putting together names for the British title and even mapping out the year, really, Solomon never really came into my thought process. Like I say, I consider him to be quite a few steps behind me. He's only just won the English. That doesn't now mean you're ready to go for the British. That's not how it works. I won the English and then I had 5 more fights. So it's a process of time. But if he believes in himself, then he believes in himself. That's not a problem. But he was not someone that I really considered to be a contender for it at the time. No.
The other name that was drawn against you after you won the British title was Frazer Clarke, who's on his own path right now. He'll be taking on Bogdan Dino instead of Rydell Booker next up. But a fight with Frazer Clarke in the future for yourself?
Yeah, he was definitely a consideration. He was definitely someone we wanted to kind of pin down and get a fight on with. But him and his team said they want a bit more time. They want something kind of towards the back end of the year. So again, this I have to stay busy in the meantime and have meaningful fights and get stuck in with decent opponents. So that's just what we're doing.
Now, I just want to get your thoughts on a couple of other things. I'll stick within your stable, or at least friends of boxing. First of all, Alan Babich gets his shot at WBC Bridgerweight gold here. He flies over to Poland against Lucas Brzezinski. You think Babich will claim the gold in savage fashion?
Yeah, I do, I do. I think he'll do it in style as well. I spoke to him quite a bit as of late, to be fair, and he's obviously adjusted his camp slightly in his training team, and he's moved. I think he's in Dubai at the moment, where he's doing his training and stuff with his team, and he couldn't be happier when I've spoken to him. He's been buzzing, and he's talking about the camp and learning new things and developing himself as a fighter, and he's just buzzing. And it's an old adage, but what you say is a happy fire is a dangerous fire, and he's so up for this. He realizes this is his like his Rocky moment almost to kind of get at something and really make a stamp on boxing. So he's all in for this, all in.
Dillian White, your mentor. It's a little bit quiet on the Western front for Dillian White right now in terms of a fight opponent. Speaking to Eddie, he kind of mentioned Otto Wallen, Dempsey McKean, but maybe if you had a thought of who you'd like to see Dillian White in next, who would that be with?
I'd like to see him in with AJ. I think that's the most obvious fight, to be honest. I think it makes the most sense for both parties. Obviously, albeit he comes to on Saturday, they've both fought the same opponent of a medium to high level, beat him. Okay, cool. So now which one of us is going to kick on? I think that kind of makes the most sense. AJ obviously coming off a few losses and things, and he needs this comeback fight and then to kick on. But to throw himself, he can't just keep fighting the likes of Jermaine Franklin. He needs to keep pushing on and fighting higher level opponents. And the same with Dill. He obviously had his loss to Fury and then come back and fight Franklin. So they're both at a similar place in their careers where if they want to kick back into that kind of world title contention, sorry, they need to have a big fight to do that. They need to take down kind of one of the top boys that are middling around the same area as them. And I think it just makes the most sense. It's easy to put together. They're with the same promoter, with the same team, and they both want it. They both said they want it as well. So I can't see why not.
Speaking of the main event on April 1st, AJ takes on Jermaine Franklin in his comeback fight. Now, Eddie, look, it's probably promoter speak here, but he's saying he's kind of nervous for AJ because if he loses, where does he go from here? Do you share that kind of sentiment that there's that jeopardy for AJ here on April 1st?
Yeah, I think it's all or nothing, isn't it? It's either he hits or busts, really, because coming off those defeats, and then you say you lose to someone like Jermaine Franklin, not to take away from him at all. He's not a bad fighter or anything like that at all. But AJ's used to competing at such a high level that if you've dropped down and you don't beat the person at that level, then where do you go from here? What do you do? Like, do you just carry on? Like, we're all well aware that he's quite financially set. So does he just go, you know what, I'm not really up for this anymore, sack it off or whatever else? So I think Ed would be concerned because, like I say, it is kind of all or nothing for AJ. If he loses this, then what career path does he really take? Where does he go with his boxing career? What does he want to keep going, and does he start even lower and try and build himself back up? I can't imagine that's something he'd really want to do. So yeah, I think this is kind of the one that he needs to get through. And I think he also needs to do it in a bit of kind of fashion as well. I don't think he can just kind of standoffish points him, poke him, and get to the end and survive through. I think he really needs to make a statement of like, I'm back. Like this, I've had those losses. Okay, cool, but that's done. And now I've changed my team up. I took myself away to America for training. I brought myself away from it all, and this is the new reinvented AJ. And hopefully he can do it as well. I always want to see a Brit win, so hopefully he does come through.
Reinvented AJ is a good phrase to use. Do you feel that in the sense of not as a good coach, but as a good style, that Derek James is a good choice, trainer of Charlo, trainer of Errol Spence? Do you think that's the right style, right fit for Anthony Joshua?
Well, I think time will tell. But on the outside, that's how it looks, at least. For him to be in a gym with obviously other champions, where not to say like where he's not the be all and end all of the gym. It's not that situation, that set up, that training team, whatever, is not there because of him. He's joined it. So then he still has to compete with these other people in terms of for one, for getting his coach's respect and in sparring sessions and in training sessions. Like I know of training in the gym with Ben and all the other fighters he has there, that you're next to the guy who's doing some extra reps or doing some extra bits, and you push yourself to keep up with them, and being around other people of a high competing level keeps you testing yourself, keeps you pushing yourself. That little bit of competition is always great for someone. And I think he gets that out of that gym, and especially obviously with the new coach as well, who's well known for being no nonsense and doesn't take none of his extra stuff. He's just either get the job done or leave, basically.
Gonna pick your brains in a couple more fights. A big one at the top, that being Joyce versus Zhang. Joyce could have maybe picked an easier opponent. Zhang has proved his worth in a losing effort against Filip Hrgovic. A lot of people thought he'd won that fight, but how do you feel that fight goes?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. There's credit to Joyce as well, like you say, for taking a fight like I didn't have to, but it's a good one for him to take. I think he definitely needs. He can't really be having them lower level fights. He needs to keep pushing on with them higher level people with the stage he's at in his career, where he needs to be really having a world title fight either in the next kind of 6 to 12 months. But Zhang's an awkward one with his style, the way it is. I think the separation between them two is sometimes in the past, Zhang's been questioned for having a gas tank, or a small gas tank, I should say, maybe fading off towards kind of the second half of the fight, whereas we know Joyce definitely doesn't. So I think if that continues through, that might be a kind of a deciding factor for the fight, definitely.
Speaking to Joe Parker yesterday, it seems like he's negotiating with a couple of parties. Michael Hunter is one of them. More interestingly, maybe to the British public, would be Daniel Dubois as an opponent there. A good fight, do you feel, Joe Parker and Daniel Dubois?
Yeah, interesting fight. Interesting fight. Like Joe's still got something to prove for himself, I think. I think he still wants some big fights. He still wants to be a big name, kind of in the mix of contention with everyone else. I don't think the last fight he had was massively convincing of that. So I still feel like he wants to kind of kick on to those higher levels, those higher opponents, and really kind of make a statement.
And then Fury Usyk, it seems like from Frank Warren's tweets, we're finally going to get an announcement there. I think you answered it before, but just tell me if anything has changed, or who would you favour out of the two?
It's probably one of the most for me and my brain anyway, it's probably the most 50-50 fights. Like, I really find it difficult to pick between. I find it My brain tells me I'm stupid to ever really bet against Usyk because of how he is. But then I look at the dynamics of Fury, his style, his size. There's obvious factors there that it just means he should win that fight. But somehow Usyk always seems to find a way, put together the plan, and come up with the win. So I really, really don't know on that one. I really don't know. I think I'm happy that it will get put together and I'll get to see it.
I mentioned a highly charged conversation that happened earlier at the start. Did you catch that conversation between Simon Jordan and Eddie Hearn? Did you have a winner?
No, I didn't. I haven't. I didn't catch it live. I was listening to some bits earlier. When I got home from the gym, so I was listening to a couple of bits, and it's quite good. It's nice to see and kind of have, because it's boring, isn't it, when they're both separate and taking jabs at each other, and you never get to see them actually come together. So it's nice that actually they've arranged it, put it together, and kind of can actually go at each other in front of each other. But no, I haven't. I haven't been through it long enough to declare a winner. I don't know.
Well, you'll be going at Michael Polite Coffee on April 1st. Bringing this back to you, it seems like just talking to you and listening to you earlier in terms about mapping out your year, you're quite, maybe you've got a strategy in place and you're looking to pick your opponents and pick your path properly. How much input do you have as a fighter in terms of the path you make, or do you leave it to others in your team to do that?
Well, ultimately the buck stops or starts with me. If I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. Or if I don't think it's right, like I say, I don't think it's right. I won't do it. But I make sure I'm surrounded by people I trust. I don't bring in any extras, or there's no hangabouts. The core people around me that are there to help, assist, make decisions, or make decisions on my behalf are people I trust. So overall, I leave a lot of it to the team for them to put together and bring the overarching plan to me and see how I feel about it. But yeah, it's a good one. And I think that ticking off that British title outright is something I definitely want to do.
You're 28, right?
I am for now, anyways.
And let's fast forward into the future. Let's say 10 years. You're 38. Are you still in boxing? Are you a old, mature heavyweight head who's still around? Do you see yourself in boxing for that long haul? Because
Nah,
boxing
not
says,
by.
especially as a heavyweight, it says that you get to that age and you're at your peak-ish somewhere around there, right?
I don't know if I still want to be boxing at that. Yeah, I don't know if I still want to be getting punched in the head. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I won't. Maybe I won't be ready to give it up, no matter what part of my career I go through, or no matter where I get to in life. But for me, I've always said around 35 is kind of my point where I've gone, yeah, okay, I think I'm good here. As if my faculties are all in order, I've got a few quid in the bank, and I can just chill out for a bit. Then I think that's the goal. That's the aim.
And to have won some world titles, right?
Obviously, to win some world titles, a few of them dangling on the mantelpiece, a few quid in my bank, and all my faculties in order. I think I'm good.
Goes without saying. I'll leave the final word with you. What can people expect to see from you April 1st against Michael Polite Coffie?
Same as you're always going to get fun, action-packed fight, and a lot of punches being thrown. But it's always going to be entertaining when I'm in the ring.
Fabio, real pleasure. Thank you for speaking to Seconds Out. Much appreciated. Hopefully, I'll be there. If not, I'll be watching anyway. But thanks again.